it's a largely accepted truth that the PS3 controller is lacking when it comes to the L2 and R2 trigger buttons. Most common complaints include fingers constantly slipping off, and that is due to the way that the triggers are shaped. And they're the complete opposite of like the Xbox 360 controllers, for example, which, you know, is more resembling the trigger of an actual gun. Now, I personally don't have any problems with the controller myself, but I can't really say much because I don't ever use any games that really use these buttons that much anyways, and I don't play long enough to get sweaty hands. But there do exist accessories that are meant to relieve this problem. They're called caps, and they look, for example, like this. I'll probably edit in a little picture to make it a little clearer. But like I said, all they do is make the triggers poke outwards so you can just kind of wrap your fingers around them easier. This particular brand that I have right here are SubSonic Ergonomic triggers for 6-axis and DualShock 3 controllers. Now, the name itself is kind of misleading because ergonomic is far from what these are. Allow me to explain. Alright, y'all probably can't see this really good because my camera sucks, but this is pretty much what one of these things looks like. And this is what they look like from the side. And on the front here, they got a little 2 on them. And to save time, I've done put one on here. But all you really have to do, these are really easy to put on. All you have to do is kind of slide them up onto the trigger that's already on the controller and just kind of press down. And you'll hear a really large click sound, and that's how you know they're on there. And that pretty much, see, they're just right there. It looks just kind of like an Xbox 360 trigger now. So, what is my complaints about this, if it seems to be alright? Well, allow me to go into detail about that. My hands are, I won't even say that they're big, but the way they are, if I'm holding a controller like I usually would, the back here, if you look real close, it juts out like a freaking sore thumb. Look at that. Like I can freaking jam a freaking Lego brick in between that. But they're not even like smooth on the edges. They're like sharp as a rock. So when you're sitting there playing, and where my finger goes right here, any time that I push down on this, it's gonna touch my finger, which irritates me, but it's not even a pleasant feeling for the most part. Mostly irritating, but unpleasant nonetheless. And what's worse is if you're holding it like this or something, where you wouldn't need to use the trigger buttons, it digs right in to that finger right there, and just, ugh, it's awful. So really that's my only real complaint with it, because they feel good, like for your index fingers where they're sitting on top, they feel fine. Like they feel just like the same texture and everything as the original ones do. And I've also heard complaints about some of these caps with, like, if you're really getting into it, just mashing down on these things, they'll pop off. But I've tried it. They don't really seem to have much give to them. I mean, they seem fine to me, but you know, different strokes for different folks. And that's all I can really say about it, because they're not bad. I mean, they do what they were set out to do. They're just, for me, they're kind of uncomfortable due to the simple fact that the edges are sharp. If they had smoothed the bottom of these, they would be perfect. I would use them like all the time. But like I said, I didn't really need them to begin with, but I was kind of curious, so I got them, and probably just aren't for me. Outside of that, they're not too bad, but not for me. Although it is really fun to make really loud popping noises with them, such as this.